twins claim that he is their father. Billionaire got the shock of his life. A powerful billionaire walks into his hotel, and two little twins stop him cold with 4 words he never expected to hear. "Mommy said you're our dad." At first he thinks it's a mistake, until the boys pull out an old photo of a woman he once loved. But just as he tries to uncover the truth, a dark secret from the past rises up. And someone out there is already using these children to destroy him. Now his perfect life is collapsing, the twins are in danger, and the world is watching. What hidden truth did their mother take to her grave? And will this man fight for the family he never knew he had, or lose them before he even gets a chance? Tell me in the comments where you're watching from right now, and if this story speaks to you, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. The Atlanta morning sun streamed through the gleaming glass doors of the Harrington Grand Hotel, casting long shadows across the polished marble floors. Cole Harrington's perfectly shined shoes clicked against the stone as he strode through his flagship property's lobby, his dark suit as crisp as his expression. His tablet displayed a series of concerning customer reviews that had prompted this surprise visit. Another complaint about wait times at check-in. He muttered, scrolling through the data. The numbers weren't adding up to the 5-star standard he demanded. At 38 years old, Cole had built his hotel empire from the ground up, and he wasn't about to let service quality slip now. Hotel staff scrambled to attention as they spotted him, their eyes widening in recognition. Cole nodded curtly, maintaining his purposeful stride. He rarely announced his inspections. The element of surprise tended to reveal the truth about day-to-day operations. "Excuse me," a small voice called out. "Mr. Harrington?" Cole almost walked past the source of the voice, but something in its trembling tone made him pause. He lowered his tablet and found himself looking down at 2 identical boys, perhaps 8 or 9 years old. Their brown skin was a shade lighter than their curly dark hair, and their eyes, a striking hazel that seemed oddly familiar, were fixed nervously on his face. One of the boys, wearing a red t-shirt, nudged the other, who wore blue. The boy in blue clutched a worn envelope in his small hands. "Can I help you?" Cole asked, his professional smile in place despite his confusion. Where were these children's parents? The boy in red squared his shoulders. "I'm Malachi Brooks," he announced, his voice carrying across the lobby. "And this is my brother Matthew." Matthew's fingers tightened on the envelope as he gave a tiny wave. "Our mommy said you're our daddy." The words hung in the air like suspended glass, threatening to shatter the carefully ordered morning. Cole felt his smile freeze, aware of the growing crowd of onlookers, guests pausing, mid-check-in, staff members forgetting their duties, smartphones rising to capture the moment. "I'm sorry," Cole said quietly, fighting to keep his voice steady. "But there must be some mistake. I don't have any children." Malachi shook his head stubbornly. "No mistake. Mommy left us the picture to prove it." He turned to his brother. "Show him, Matthew." With trembling hands, Matthew opened the envelope and pulled out a worn Polaroid photograph. Cole took it, his mind already forming polite denials. But the words died in his throat. The woman in the photo was laughing at the camera, her dark curls wild in the summer breeze, her hazel eyes bright with joy. She sat on a beach blanket, the ocean sparkling behind her. Cole remembered that day with sudden stark clarity, the way the salt air had smelled, the sound of waves crashing, the feel of sand between his toes. Ariel. Her name had been Ariel. He'd never known her last name. They'd agreed to keep it that way, just a perfect summer romance before he returned to building his business empire. No strings, no complications, no expectations. But now her eyes stared back at him from the faces of these 2 boys, and complications crashed over him like a tidal wave. A murmur rippled through the growing crowd. Cole glimpsed several phones pointed in their direction, knew this moment was already being uploaded to social media, could practically hear his PR team's phones starting to ring. "Please," he said, gesturing toward a nearby conference room. "Let's continue this conversation privately." The boys exchanged glances, having one of those silent conversations that twins were famous for. Then Malachi nodded, taking his brother's hand, and they followed Cole into the elegant meeting space. As the heavy door clicked shut behind them, blessed silence fell. Cole sank into one of the leather chairs, still holding the photograph. The boys remained standing, shoulder to shoulder, watching him with those familiar eyes. "Where is your mother?" Cole asked, though something in their expressions already told him the answer. "She died," Malachi said simply. 3 months ago. Cancer." Matthew sniffled quietly, and his brother squeezed his hand. Cole stared at the photograph, at Ariel's radiant smile. The weight of what he'd missed, what she'd carried alone, settled over him like a heavy blanket. He remembered her kindness, her quiet strength, the way she'd insisted on no last names or contact information when their summer ended. Had she known then? Had she made that choice to protect his rising career from scandal? The thought made his chest ache. A phone buzzed in his pocket, probably his assistant or his PR team, already aware of the scene in the lobby. But Cole couldn't look away from the photo, couldn't stop seeing Ariel's features reflected in the faces of these boys who had just turned his carefully controlled world upside down. "This can't be happening," he whispered. But even as the words left his mouth, he knew the truth. The timing was right, the eyes were unmistakable, and Ariel, noble, selfless Ariel, had made sure her sons would have proof when they needed it most. The ground seemed to shift beneath his feet, years of carefully maintained order crumbling in the face of this unexpected reality. Everything was about to change, and Cole Harrington, master of meticulous planning and control, had no idea what to do next. He looked up at the twins, his sons, and saw them watching him with a mixture of hope and fear that made his heart clench. The moment stretched between them, heavy with unspoken questions and possibilities, as the morning sun continued to stream through the conference room windows, illuminating this new and terrifying truth. Cole's hands trembled as he reached for his phone, the photograph of Ariel still lying on the polished conference table. "Sandra," he spoke into the device, "could you please come to the Magnolia Room? It's urgent." Within minutes, Sandra Chen, the hotel's HR manager, appeared. Her practiced smile faltered slightly as she took in the scene, her boss's unusually disheveled appearance, and 2 young boys sitting quietly in the oversized leather chairs. "The boys need supervision while I make an important call," Cole explained, his voice tight with tension. "Could you stay with them?" Sandra nodded, immediately shifting into a warm, maternal tone as she approached the twins. "Would you boys like some hot chocolate?" While Matthew and Malachi cautiously warmed up to Sandra, Cole stepped into the adjacent office, pulling out the crumpled paper with Zara Brooks' phone number. His finger hovered over the keypad for a moment before he forced himself to dial. A clipped professional voice answered on the 3rd ring. "This is Zara Brooks." "Ms. Brooks, this is Cole Harrington. I'm calling about—" "I'll be there in 15 minutes." She cut him off, her voice sharp with barely contained anger. "Don't you dare try to intimidate those boys." The line went dead before he could respond. Cole ran his hands through his hair, a gesture that would have shocked his board members who only knew his carefully controlled public persona. True to her word, 14 minutes later, a woman burst through the conference room doors. Zara Brooks had her sister's high cheekbones and determined chin, but where Cole remembered Ariel's gentleness, Zara radiated protective fury. "If you think you can threaten legal action or try to discredit my nephews," she began, But Cole raised his hands in a peaceful gesture. "Please, Ms. Brooks, I only want to understand." Sandra, reading the room perfectly, stood up. "Boys, why don't we go find those cookies I mentioned?" The twins looked to their aunt, who gave a short nod before following Sandra out. Once the door closed, Zara's shoulders slumped slightly, though her guard remained firmly up. "They weren't supposed to do this," she said. "We had a plan. They were supposed to wait." "Wait for what?" Cole asked softly. Zara sank into a chair, exhaustion briefly replacing anger on her face. "Until they were older. Until—" She gestured vaguely at the window, where reporters were already gathering outside the hotel. "Until it wouldn't cause this circus." "Did Ariel—" Cole paused, the name catching in his throat. "Did she tell them about me? Not your name, not who you became." Zara reached into her worn messenger bag. "She only said their father would know the truth when the time came. She left this for you, in case they ever found you." She withdrew a sealed envelope, slightly yellowed with age. Cole recognized the flowing handwriting immediately, Ariel's distinctive script spelling out his first name. With trembling fingers, he broke the seal and opened to the first page of what appeared to be a diary. The words swam before his eyes. "Dearest Cole, if you're reading this, our boys have found you. I want you to know I never abandoned what we shared that summer. I protected it, and you, the only way I knew how." Cole had to stop reading, his vision blurring. He looked up at Zara, who was watching him with an unreadable expression. "She knew," he said hoarsely. "She knew my company was about to go public, that a scandal would have destroyed everything I'd built." "She followed your career," Zara confirmed quietly. "She was proud of what you accomplished, even from afar." "The boys," Cole said, clearing his throat. "Please tell me about them." Zara studied him for a long moment. "I need time," she said finally. "Time to decide if I can trust you in their lives. They've lost so much already." Before Cole could respond, his phone buzzed urgently. His head of security's message was brief but alarming. Paparazzi gathering at all exits, social media video going viral. Cole stood quickly. "We need to get you and the boys out of here. The press is already swarming." Zara's defensive wall snapped back into place. "We can handle ourselves." "Please," Cole said. "Let me help. There's a private exit through the service area. I'll have my car brought around." After a tense moment, Zara nodded. Cole messaged Sandra, who brought the twins back moments later. As they made their way through the hotel's back corridors, Cole couldn't help noticing how Matthew bit his lip when nervous, just like Ariel used to do. At the service exit, Cole's driver waited with a black SUV, its windows tinted for privacy. As Zara helped the boys into the car, she turned to Cole. "I'll be in touch," she said, her tone softer than before. "They need time to process this too." Cole watched the SUV pull away, carrying his newfound sons into the gathering dusk. The drive back to his penthouse passed in a blur. His phone hadn't stopped buzzing. His PR team, his board members, the press, but he couldn't focus on any of it. In his home office, Cole placed Ariel's diary carefully on his desk. The leather-bound journal seemed to pulse with untold stories, with years of secrets and explanations. He sat heavily in his chair, staring at it. Part of him wanted to leave it unopened, to preserve the last barrier between his carefully ordered life and this new reality. But he knew he couldn't walk away. Not from Ariel's words, not from his son's. The setting sun painted his office in shades of orange and gold as Cole sat there, poised between his past and whatever future awaited in those pages. The morning sunlight streamed through Cole's office windows as he settled into his leather chair, Ariel's diary in his hands. He'd barely slept, the weight of yesterday's revelations keeping him awake most of the night. With a deep breath, he opened the journal and began to read. "I discovered I was pregnant 6 weeks after you left," Ariel had written. "I was scared, but so happy. The babies were my miracle, a gift from that perfect summer we shared." Cole's throat tightened as he turned the pages, each one filled with Ariel's elegant handwriting. She described her joy at learning she was carrying twins, her determination to give them the best life possible, and her growing awareness of who Cole was becoming in the business world. "Then I saw the headlines," she wrote. "Your competitors were trying to destroy you with false accusations and planted stories. I watched from afar as you fought to save your company and reputation. I knew then that I couldn't come forward. They would have used me and our babies as weapons against you. I couldn't let that happen." Tears blurred Cole's vision as he read about Ariel's choice to protect him by staying away. She'd tracked his success through the years, clipping newspaper articles about his hotels and showing them to the twins as they grew older. "I tell our boys stories about their father." One entry read, "Not about the successful businessman you've become, but about the kind man who made me feel safe that summer. The one who danced with me in the rain and brought me wildflowers. The one who would have been an amazing father if life had taken a different turn." Cole closed the diary, overwhelmed by emotion. He needed to see them again. Not just the twins, but Zara too. He needed to understand more about the family that had been waiting in the wings of his life for so long. After several phone calls and careful arrangements, Cole found himself sitting in a quiet neighborhood cafe near Zara's apartment. He'd chosen the location carefully. Small, family-owned, away from the usual paparazzi haunts. His security team had discreetly checked the premises earlier, ensuring privacy. The bell above the door chimed at 3:15 in the afternoon. Cole looked up to see Zara entering with Matthew and Malachi, both still in their school uniforms. The boys spotted him immediately, their faces lighting up with shy smiles. "Hi, Mr. Harrington," they said in unison, making Cole's heart flutter with their synchronized greeting. "Please, call me Cole," he said warmly, standing to greet them. "Would you like some hot chocolate? They make it really good here." As the twins settled into their chairs, Cole noticed how Matthew's feet swung nervously while Malachi sat perfectly still, observing everything. They were identical, yet already he could see subtle differences in their personalities. "What's your favorite subject in school?" Cole asked, after their drinks arrived. "Art," Matthew exclaimed. "I love drawing, just like Mum did." "Math," Malachi said quietly. "And science. I want to build things someday." Cole listened intently as they opened up about their lives, their fourth-grade teacher, Mrs. Martinez, their best friend Marcus, who lived next door, the stray cat they'd named Pepper, who visited their apartment window every morning. "Mum used to tell us stories about you," Malachi said suddenly, stirring his hot chocolate. "She never said your name, but she told us about a man who made her laugh and treated her like a princess." Matthew nodded eagerly. "She said you were different from other people, that you saw the real her, not just what was on the outside. When we saw your picture in the newspaper last month," Malachi continued, "you looked just like Mom described. Then we found her old photo album. And there you were," Matthew finished, "with Mum at the beach, both of you looking so happy." Cole glanced at Zara, who had been quietly watching the interaction. Her expression had softened considerably since yesterday. "You're different than I expected," she admitted, keeping her voice low while the boys enjoyed their drinks. "I thought you'd be arrogant, dismissive," Cole supplied with a gentle smile. "Something like that." Zara nodded. "But I can see you're really trying. The way you listen to them, how carefully you chose this place. You're thinking about what they need." The afternoon light began to fade into evening as their conversation continued. Cole learned about the twins' upcoming school play, their soccer practices, and their shared love of building elaborate blanket forts in the living room, just like Ariel used to do with them. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows through the cafe windows, Cole knew their time was drawing to a close. The boys had homework to complete, and he had a board meeting early the next morning. "Can we see you again?" Matthew asked hopefully, chocolate mustache still visible above his lip. Cole looked to Zara, holding his breath. She studied him for a moment before nodding slowly. "We could meet later this week," she said. "As long as things stay private. The boys don't need media attention right now." "I'll make sure of it," Cole promised. "My security team can arrange everything." As they prepared to leave, Malachi suddenly wrapped his arms around Cole's waist in a quick hug. Matthew followed suit, and Cole found himself frozen for a moment before gently returning their embraces. Driving away from the cafe, Cole kept glancing in his rearview mirror until he could no longer see the twins waving from the sidewalk. The warmth of their hugs lingered, filling a space in his heart he hadn't even known was empty. His carefully structured life had been upended in the span of 2 days, yet somehow everything felt more right than it ever had before. The Wednesday afternoon sun painted golden patches across Jefferson Park's well-worn basketball court. Cole arrived early, dressed casually in jeans and a grey t-shirt, a stark contrast to his usual tailored suits. He bounced a new basketball against the pavement, the steady rhythm matching his nervous heartbeat. At exactly 3:30 in the afternoon, he spotted Zara's blue sedan pulling into the parking lot. The twins tumbled out before she could fully stop, their backpacks bouncing as they ran toward him. "Cole!" Malachi called out, waving enthusiastically. Matthew followed close behind, his smile just as bright but his steps more measured. "Hey guys!" Cole greeted them, tossing the basketball gently to Malachi, who caught it with practiced ease. "I thought we could shoot some hoops." "I'm terrible at basketball," Matthew admitted quietly, scuffing his sneaker against the ground. "That's okay," Cole assured him. "We can learn together. I'm not exactly NBA material myself." They started with simple passing drills, forming a circle. Cole noticed how Malachi naturally positioned himself between Matthew and any errant balls that bounced their way. When Matthew finally made his first basket, the look of pure joy on his face made Cole's heart swell. After basketball, they walked to the pond where several ducks paddled lazily in the afternoon light. Cole produced a paper bag of duck safe feed he'd researched and purchased specifically for this occasion. "Mom used to bring us here," Matthew said softly, tossing a handful of feed toward a particularly bold mallard. "She'd pack peanut butter sandwiches and tell us stories while we watched the ducks." "What kind of stories?" Cole asked, settling onto a nearby bench. "All kinds," Malachi answered, sitting next to him. "But my favorites were about the brave knight who helped others even when it meant giving up his own happiness." Cole caught Zara's knowing look from where she stood a few feet away. The brave knight had been Ariel's way of explaining their father's absence without breeding resentment. As they fed the ducks, the twins gradually opened up more. Matthew, playing with the hem of his shirt, confessed, "I hate speaking in front of people. Last week I was supposed to present my science project, but I got so scared I threw up in the bathroom." "That happens to lots of people," Cole assured him. "Even adults. I still get nervous before big presentations." "Really?" Matthew looked up, hope flickering in his eyes. "But you're always so confident on TV." "That took years of practice," Cole explained, "and I still keep a worry stone in my pocket during important meetings." While Matthew and Zara walked ahead to refill their water bottles at the fountain, Malachi remained on the bench with Cole, his small shoulders suddenly tense. "I have to take care of Matthew," he said, his voice carrying a weight no 8-year-old should bear. "After Mum, he cries sometimes at night. I pretend to be asleep, but I always stay awake until he stops. I have to be strong for him." Cole's heart ached at the responsibility this child had taken upon himself. "You're an amazing brother, Malachi, but you don't have to be strong all the time. It's okay to need help too." When Zara and Matthew returned, they all walked toward a quiet corner of the park. The boys spotted a playground and ran ahead after getting permission from their aunt. Zara sank onto a park bench, exhaustion evident in her posture. "I should be at work right now," she admitted, watching the twins play. "But I had to switch shifts again. The daycare costs more than I make some weeks." "Let me help," Cole offered immediately. "Please." "We don't need your pity." Zara's spine stiffened. "I've been managing." "You're working 2 jobs, Zara. The boys need you more than they need your pride." "And what happens when they become your latest PR stunt?" She challenged. "I won't let them be used as props in some heartwarming corporate narrative about the generous CEO and his surprise family." Before Cole could respond, Zara's phone buzzed, then buzzed again, and again. She frowned at the screen, answering a call from her co-worker at the clinic. Cole watched her face pale as she listened. "What do you mean it's everywhere?" she demanded. "How did—" She pulled up a news site on her phone, and Cole leaned over to see the viral video from Monday morning playing silently, his first encounter with the twins in the hotel lobby. This was intentional, Cole realized, anger coursing through him as he recognized the camera angle. "That footage came from our security feed. Someone inside the hotel leaked it." Zara ended her call, her hands shaking slightly. "Fix this," she said, her voice tight with controlled panic. "You promised to protect them from this exact situation." "I will," Cole assured her, already typing rapid messages to his PR team and legal department. "I give you my word, Zara. This ends now." She studied his face for a long moment, weighing his sincerity against her instinct to handle everything alone. Finally, she nodded. "Okay," she said quietly. "I choose to believe you." The twins' laughter floated across the park as they chased each other around the playground, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing around them. Cole watched them play, determination settling into his bones. He would make this right, not because of duty or obligation, but because somewhere between Monday morning and now, those boys had claimed a permanent place in his heart. Cole's hands tightened on his steering wheel as he drove to the office early the next morning. His phone hadn't stopped buzzing since dawn, with messages from his PR team, but he ignored them all. Right now, he needed answers more than damage control. The moment he stepped into the executive floor, his assistant hurried toward him with a tablet. "Sir, we've traced the security footage leak. You need to see this." Cole watched the surveillance video showing someone accessing the hotel's security system remotely at 2 o'clock in the morning. The digital fingerprints led straight to Langford Industries. "Victor," Cole muttered, his jaw clenching. Of course it was Victor Langford. His rival had been trying to derail Cole's latest project for months, a series of affordable hotels in underserved communities that would provide both lodging and job training programs. His phone rang again. This time, it was his head of public relations. "Mr. Harrington, we need to get ahead of this story," Sarah insisted. "If we issue a statement denying any connection to these children—" "No," Cole cut her off firmly. "I won't lie about the boys. Sir, with the community hotel's project hanging in the balance." I said no. Cole's voice was quiet but final. "Those boys lost their mother. I won't make them lose their dignity too." He ended the call and pressed his forehead against the cool glass of his office window. The street below was already filling with reporters. His phone buzzed with a text from Zara. "News vans outside our building. The boys are scared." Cole grabbed his keys. "Cancel my meetings," he told his assistant. "All of them." The drive to Zara's apartment took 30 minutes in evening traffic. He parked in the back alley and took the service entrance to avoid the cameras. When Zara opened her door, the worry lines around her eyes had deepened. Their small apartment was neat but worn, with mismatched furniture and carefully patched walls. Matthew and Malachi sat close together on a threadbare couch, their homework forgotten on the coffee table. "The kids at school were talking about us," Matthew said softly. "They showed us the video on their phones." Malachi lifted his chin. "We didn't say anything, just like Aunt Zara told us." Cole knelt in front of them, his heart aching at their brave faces. "Are you worried I'm angry that you came to find me?" The twins exchanged glances before Matthew whispered, "Maybe." "Listen to me, both of you," Cole said gently. "I'm not angry. Not at all. I'm glad you found me. And I promise you, I'm going to fix this." "How?" Zara asked from where she stood by the window, peeking through the blinds at the growing media circus below. Cole straightened up. "We have two choices. We can try to hide, which will only make people more curious, or we can control the narrative ourselves." "By doing what?" Zara crossed her arms protectively. "By telling the truth. A simple statement acknowledging that, yes, these are my sons, and yes, I just learned about them. But I'm committed to being part of their lives while protecting their privacy." "And you think people will just respect that?" Zara's voice was skeptical. "Not everyone, but it's better than letting others make up stories about us." Cole looked at the twins. "What do you think?" Malachi spoke first. "Mom always said the truth was better than hiding." Matthew nodded slowly. And maybe if we tell everyone, they'll stop trying to take pictures of us." A crash from outside made them all jump. Someone had knocked over the garbage cans in the alley, probably trying to get a better angle for photos. "We need to get you somewhere safe tonight," Cole said. "I have a house outside the city. It's private, gated." Zara hesitated. "I don't know." Another flash lit up the window. The boys pressed closer together on the couch. "Please, Aunt Zara," Matthew pleaded. "I don't want to go to school tomorrow with all the cameras." Zara's resistance crumbled at the fear in his voice. "Okay, give us 10 minutes to pack some things." While they gathered essentials, Cole called his security team. By the time they were ready to leave, 2 of his most trusted guards had cleared a path to the back stairwell. Cole led the way down the dark steps, holding his phone for light. Zara followed with the twins between her and the second guard. They moved quietly, pausing at each landing to check for photographers. At the bottom, Cole's car waited in the shadows. He helped the boys into the back seat, while Zara slid in beside them. As they pulled away, he caught glimpses of camera flashes in his rear-view mirror. The drive to his house was silent, except for the soft sound of the twins whispering to each other. When they finally passed through the security gates, all 4 of them seemed to exhale at once. Cole showed them to guest rooms, made sure they had everything they needed, then headed to his home office. He stood at the window, watching the moon rise over the trees. "I'm not letting anyone hurt them," he said quietly but firmly to the empty room. "Not ever again." In that moment, his words felt like more than a promise. They felt like a fundamental shift in who he was and what mattered most. The business empire he'd built, the deals he made, the public image he maintained, none of it compared to protecting these boys who had walked into his lobby and changed his life forever. The morning sun had barely risen when Cole's security team took their positions around Zara's apartment building. Chief Daniel Ruiz personally coordinated the operation, positioning plainclothes officers at strategic points to keep photographers at a respectful distance without drawing attention. "Remember," Daniel instructed his team through their earpieces, "we're here to protect, not intimidate. Keep it subtle. Inside his office, Cole reviewed the final details for the afternoon he had planned. The Rainbow Adventure Center was usually packed with families on weekdays, but today it would be exclusively theirs. He'd arranged for the staff to deep clean everything and stock fresh supplies for all the activities. At 2 o'clock, Cole's driver picked up Zara and the twins from their apartment. When they arrived at the activity center, Matthew and Malachi's eyes went wide at the sight of the empty parking lot. "Where is everyone?" Malachi asked as they walked through the front doors. Cole smiled. "I thought we could have the place to ourselves today. No cameras, no strangers, just us." The boys exchanged excited glances before racing toward the indoor playground. Their footsteps echoed through the usually bustling space as they climbed the padded structures and disappeared into the maze of tunnels overhead. Zara watched them go, relief visible in her shoulders. "I haven't heard them laugh like that in weeks." "Come on." Cole gestured toward the arcade section. "Let's see if you're any good at skee-ball." For the next few hours, they moved from game to game. Cole taught the twins the secret to winning at basketball free throws, while Zara dominated at air hockey. They collected handful after handful of prize tickets, the boys growing more animated with each victory. When their stomachs started growling, fresh pizzas appeared as if by magic. Plain cheese for Matthew, pepperoni for Malachi, and vegetarian for Zara. They gathered around a table in the party room, paper plates and napkins scattered between them. "Mom used to make us pizza on Friday nights," Matthew said suddenly, picking at his crust. "She'd let us help knead the dough." A familiar silence fell over the table, the kind that always followed mentions of Ariel, but this time Zara didn't try to change the subject. "She was amazing in the kitchen," she said softly. "Remember how she'd sing while she cooked?" Malachi nodded. Even when she was really sick, she still tried to make Friday night pizza. Aunt Zara had to help her roll out the dough at the end. Cole watched the emotions play across Zara's face. Love, grief, determination. What was she like during that time? Zara was quiet for a moment, considering. Strong. Stronger than anyone I've ever known. She never let the boys see her afraid. Even on her worst days. She'd save her tears for after they went to bed, when it was just us. She told us she was going to get better. Matthew whispered. She promised. Oh, honey. Zara reached across the table to squeeze his hand. She wanted to. She fought so hard to stay with you. Cole felt his throat tighten. I wish I'd known. I could have helped, made sure she had the best doctors. She knew that, Zara said. But she also knew you were dealing with those takeover attempts at your company. She didn't want to be one more problem for you to solve. That's exactly what my father would have called it. A problem to solve. Cole admitted. I grew up watching him treat people like business transactions. The maids, my tutors, even my mother. Everyone was just a line item in his budget. Understanding flickered in Zara's eyes. Is that why you work so much? To prove you're different from him? Cole nodded slowly. I thought if I could build something good, something that helped people, it would make up for his legacy. But sitting in my penthouse alone every night, maybe I'm more like him than I want to admit. No, Malachi said firmly. You're nice, and you play games with us, and you promise to come to Community Day. Speaking of which, Zara interjected, are you sure that's a good idea? There will be a lot of people there. I promised, Cole said simply. We'll figure out the logistics. These boys deserve to have someone show up for them. They spent another hour at the activity center, the twins using their tickets to pick out prizes, a stuffed dragon for Matthew, a remote control car for Malachi. As they walked to the car, both boys clutched their treasures close. Thank you, Matthew said quietly. This was the best day ever. Cole felt something shift in his chest, a warmth he'd never experienced before. Was this what it felt like to be a father? This fierce desire to protect, to provide, to see joy light up their faces? Back in his penthouse that evening, Cole sank into his leather chair. His usual stack of contracts sat untouched on his desk. Instead, he found himself scrolling through the photos he'd taken that afternoon. Malachi's victory dance after a perfect skee ball roll, Matthew's concentrated face as he lined up an arcade shot, Zara's genuine smile when the boys weren't looking. Exhaustion tugged at his muscles, but it was different from his usual end-of-day fatigue. This tiredness felt earned, meaningful. For the first time in years, he'd spent a day doing something that mattered more than any business deal ever could. He paused on a photo of all four of them, captured by one of the activity center staff. The twins in front, grinning widely, while he and Zara stood behind them. They looked like a family. Not perfect, not conventional, but real. His phone buzzed with a message from Zara. The boys wanted to say goodnight. Below was a photo of Matthew and Malachi in their pajamas, clutching their new toys, tired but happy. Cole saved the image immediately, knowing he'd look at it again before he went to sleep. Another message followed. Thank you for today. They needed it. We all did. Cole's hands tightened on his steering wheel as he watched another news van pull up near Wilson Elementary School. The morning sun hadn't fully risen, but already 5 different media outlets had staked out positions along the quiet suburban street. His jaw clenched at the thought of the twins having to face this circus. This ends now, he muttered, pulling out his phone. 2 calls later, 3 police cruisers arrived to establish a safety perimeter. Cole had known the police chief for years through his charitable foundation work, and the man understood the need to protect children from media harassment. Officer Martinez approached Cole's window. We'll keep them back, sir. No cameras or reporters. We'll get within 100 feet of the school grounds. Thank you. Cole watched as the police efficiently moved the news vans down the street. A few reporters protested, but most complied without argument. When Zara's weathered sedan pulled up 15 minutes later, both boys peered anxiously through the windows. It's okay, Cole assured them, opening their car door. The police are making sure no one bothers you today. Malachi's face brightened. Like our own security detail. Exactly like that. Cole smiled, touched by the boys' enthusiasm. Matthew remained quiet, gripping his backpack straps tightly. Cole knelt down to his eye level. Hey, buddy, what's wrong? What if they ask us questions? Matthew's voice trembled slightly. Then you just keep walking. You don't have to talk to anyone who makes you uncomfortable. Cole placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. And remember what Officer Martinez said. They have to stay far away from the school. Zara watched this exchange with tired but grateful eyes. Thank you for handling this, she said softly. The boys made it safely inside, and Cole promised to arrange the same protection for afternoon pickup. Throughout the day, he found himself checking his phone frequently for updates from Zara. Each all-clear message lifted a weight from his chest he hadn't realized he was carrying. That evening, they met at Mario's, a family-owned Italian restaurant tucked away in a quiet neighborhood. The owner, an elderly man who'd known Cole for years, had closed the restaurant to other customers to ensure their privacy. My special guests, Mario greeted them warmly, leading them to a corner booth draped with twinkling lights. Everything is prepared fresh, just as requested. The boys' eyes widened at the cozy atmosphere and delicious smells wafting from the kitchen. Soon, plates of handmade pasta and warm garlic bread covered their table. Mom loved Italian food, Malachi said suddenly, twirling spaghetti around his fork. She always said the sauce had to simmer all day to taste right. Zara smiled. Remember how she'd dance around the kitchen while it cooked? She had a different song for each recipe. The meatball song. Matthew giggled. Roll, roll, roll the meat, make it nice and round. He sang softly. That's right. Zara joined in. Pack it tight and neat till no cracks are found. Cole listened, entranced as they shared more memories of Ariel in the kitchen, how she'd let the boys help knead bread dough, how she'd pretend to be a cooking show host to make them laugh, how she never measured ingredients but somehow made everything taste perfect. She sounds wonderful, Cole said softly. I remember she had the most beautiful laugh. You do? Malachi looked up eagerly. What else do you remember about her? Cole thought back to that summer, choosing his words carefully. She loved watching sunsets, said each one was like a painting that only lasted a few minutes, and she could find shapes in every cloud, dragons, castles, sailing ships. She did that with us too, Matthew exclaimed. Dad, did she also… He stopped abruptly, his face flushing red as he realized what he'd said. The table fell silent. Cole's heart squeezed in his chest, but he smoothly continued the conversation as if nothing unusual had happened. She also loved feeding the ducks at the park, right? I remember she always saved bread crusts for them. Malachi nodded eagerly, while Matthew's shoulders slowly relaxed as he realized no one was going to make a big deal of his slip. As they finished their dessert, homemade tiramisu that Mario insisted they try, Zara cleared her throat. Cole, I was wondering, would you like to join us for church on Sunday? The boys are in the children's choir, and they're performing a special song. We've been practicing for weeks, Malachi added. I'd be honored. Cole replied without hesitation. What time should I be there? They worked out the details as Mario wrapped up extra portions of pasta for them to take home. Outside, the night air was cool and clear, stars twinkling above the city lights. Thank you for dinner, Mr. Cole, Matthew said shyly as they walked to their cars. You're very welcome. Cole helped them into Zara's car, making sure they were safely buckled in. Driving home later, Cole barely noticed the familiar landmarks passing by. His mind kept returning to that moment. Dad, and the way his heart had simultaneously soared and ached. He thought about his own father, who had never once attended a school event or family dinner, who had communicated primarily through his secretary and signed checks. The penthouse felt different when he walked in, not exactly empty, but waiting. Like a space that could be filled with something more than just success and solitude. His schedule for the next week glowed on his phone screen. Business meetings, conference calls, investment reviews. But now, written between those familiar appointments, were new entries. School pickup, dinner with the boys, Sunday church service. Cole sat in his usual chair by the window, but instead of reviewing reports, he found himself looking at the city lights below and wondering if Ariel used to sing her boys to sleep, if they said prayers before bed, if they were excited about him coming to church. He realized with sudden clarity that his world was expanding, growing beyond boardrooms and balance sheets into something richer and more meaningful than he'd ever imagined possible. Saturday morning dawned bright and crisp, perfect weather for the school's community day. Cole adjusted his plain navy sweater and khaki pants in the mirror, hoping the casual outfit would help him blend in. He'd deliberately left his usual designer suits behind, though he couldn't quite bring himself to wear sneakers instead of his Italian loafers. Security Chief Daniel Ruiz met him at the school entrance at 7:30 in the morning, well before the event's start time. We've done a complete sweep of the grounds, sir, Daniel reported. I have plainclothes officers stationed at all entry points. They'll keep any press or unauthorized photographers away without drawing attention. Thank you, Daniel. Remember, we want this to feel normal for the kids. The school grounds were already bustling with volunteers setting up booths and games. Cole spotted Zara helping to arrange chairs near the presentation area, the twins trailing behind her carrying decorations. "You came early," Malachi shouted, dropping his armful of streamers and running to greet Cole. Matthew followed more slowly, clutching a piece of paper. "I have to give a speech today," he said quietly. "About my favorite book." Cole knelt down to Matthew's level. "That's wonderful. Would you like to practice with me while we help set up?" Matthew nodded, relief washing over his face. For the next hour, Cole helped string banners while listening to Matthew practice his short presentation about Charlotte's Web. Each time through, the boy's voice grew a little stronger, his shoulders a little straighter. As families began arriving, whispers and pointing followed Cole around the playground. He heard snippets of conversation. Is that really him? The hotel billionaire? I saw it on the news. But he focused on the tasks at hand, determined to make this day about the children, not himself. "Snowcone Station needs help," called Mrs. Martinez, the PTA president. "Any volunteers?" "I'll do it," Cole said immediately, rolling up his sleeves. Zara watched, amused, as Cole learned to operate the ice shaver and carefully measured flavored syrups. Children lined up eagerly, some shy, others boldly asking if he really owned that big hotel downtown. "Less talking, more snow cones," he'd reply with a wink, making sure each treat was perfect. When the potato sack races began, Cole found himself holding one end of the finish line ribbon. Malachi hopped toward him, determination on his face, coming in third place. "Did you see me?" he called out proudly. "You were amazing," Cole cheered, high-fiving him. The morning flew by in a blur of activities. Cole joined the face-painting station, though he only managed wobbly stars, helped judge the science fair projects, and even attempted the hula hoop contest, much to everyone's entertainment. Then came the speaking presentations. Matthew's turn arrived, and Cole could see him trembling slightly as he approached the microphone. Their eyes met across the crowd, and Cole gave him an encouraging thumbs up. "Charlotte's Web is about friendship." Matthew began softly, then paused, taking a deep breath. "It's about how love can change us and make us brave." His voice grew stronger as he continued, hands steady now as he held his paper. When Matthew finished, the applause was genuine and warm. The teacher presented him with a small, "Outstanding Participation" ribbon, and his face lit up with pride. "You did it," Cole said when Matthew ran over to show him the ribbon. "I knew you could." Throughout the day, Malachi stayed close to Cole, holding his hand between activities and chattering about everything from his favorite subjects to what he wanted to be when he grew up. "Maybe I'll build hotels like you," he said thoughtfully, "but with bigger swimming pools." Cole noticed some parents discreetly taking photos with their phones, but Daniel's team kept anyone from getting too close or intrusive. The atmosphere remained relaxed and festive, exactly what a school event should be. As the afternoon wound down, Cole helped with cleanup, collecting trash and folding chairs alongside other parents. He caught Zara watching him several times, her expression thoughtful. "Ready to head home?" she asked the boys when the last decorations were packed away. The twins nodded, tired but happy. "I'll walk with you," Cole offered, "if that's okay." The walk home was peaceful, the setting sun painting the sky in soft oranges and pinks. The boys took turns telling Cole about their favorite moments from the day, their voices animated despite their obvious fatigue. "And did you see when that big kid tried to beat me in the sack race?" Malachi asked for the third time. "I sure did." Cole laughed. "You were like a kangaroo out there." "My ribbon's going right on my wall," Matthew declared, "next to Mom's picture." They reached the apartment building just as twilight was settling in. The boys surprised Cole by launching themselves at him for a hug, their small arms wrapping tightly around his waist. "Thank you for coming," they said in unison, a trick that still startled Cole every time. "Thank you for letting me be part of your day," he replied softly. The twins darted inside, racing each other up the stairs. Zara lingered for a moment, her expression open and genuine for the first time since they'd met. "Thank you," she said simply, "for being here, for making it special for them." Cole nodded, throat unexpectedly tight with emotion. "It was my pleasure, truly." Later that night, settled in his penthouse, Cole opened Ariel's diary again. He'd been reading it slowly, savoring each entry, learning about the woman who had touched his life so briefly, yet so profoundly. The final pages drew his attention. Her handwriting was shakier here, written during her illness, but the words were clear and strong. "My dearest boys," she had written, "I hope someday you'll meet the kind man who changed my summer. He showed me what genuine goodness looks like, how strength can be gentle, and how some people carry light inside them without even knowing it. I kept our secret to protect his dream, but my greatest wish is that one day, when the time is right, you'll find him. And maybe, just maybe, he'll recognize in you what I saw in him, a heart big enough to love without limits." Cole closed the diary gently, letting his fingers rest on its worn cover. Outside his window, the city lights twinkled like stars, and somewhere out there, in a modest apartment, two little boys were probably getting ready for bed, their day's adventures still fresh in their minds. Sunday morning dawned bright and clear as Cole adjusted his tie in the mirror. He'd chosen a simple navy suit, wanting to be respectful without drawing attention. The address Zara had texted him led to a small brick church with white trim and stained glass windows that caught the morning light. The twins spotted him first, waving excitedly from the steps where they waited in pressed khakis and matching polo shirts. Zara stood behind them in a yellow dress, her usual worried expression softened by a small smile. "You came," Matthew called out. "I promised, didn't I?" Cole replied, climbing the steps. Inside, the wooden pews gleamed with decades of care, and colourful fans decorated with biblical scenes rested in each row. The congregation, mostly elderly black women in magnificent hats, turned to observe the newcomer with open curiosity. A woman who introduced herself as Mother Washington took Cole's arm. "Welcome, baby," she said warmly. "Any friend of our Zara and these precious boys is family here." The twins led Cole to their usual pew, sliding in beside him as the organ music swelled. The familiar hymns transported him back to childhood Sundays with his grandmother, memories he'd nearly forgotten in his pursuit of success. During the service, Cole found himself deeply moved by the pastor's message about chosen family and God's mysterious ways of bringing people together. He noticed Malachi sneaking glances at him during the sermon, as if checking to make sure he was still there. The choir's powerful voices filled the sanctuary, and Cole watched as several of the elderly women dabbed at their eyes with handkerchiefs. He realized how long it had been since he'd felt part of something bigger than business deals and board meetings. After the service, the congregation moved to the fellowship hall for their weekly potluck lunch. The room buzzed with conversation and laughter as people arranged dishes on long tables covered in white cloths. "Here, honey," Mother Washington said, pressing a plate into Cole's hands. "You're too skinny. We need to put some meat on those bones." Other church mothers gathered around, filling his plate with fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, collard greens, and sweet potato pie. They shared stories about Ariel, how she used to sing in the choir, how she never missed a Sunday, even during her illness. Those boys were her whole world. Mother Jenkins said softly, watching as Matthew and Malachi helped younger children reach the dessert table. She worried about them so much near the end. Cole observed the twins throughout lunch, noting how they moved with such ease among the congregation, accepted and loved by everyone. Malachi carefully cut his brother's chicken into smaller pieces, while Matthew made sure his brother had enough napkins. "They're good boys," Mother Washington said, catching Cole's watchful gaze. "They just need someone to be there for them, someone strong enough to stay." Zara sat nearby, engaged in conversation with other church members, but Cole noticed her watching too, not just the twins, but him. Her expression had changed from the guarded wariness of their first meeting to something closer to cautious hope. As the afternoon wound down, Cole helped clean up, stacking chairs and washing dishes alongside church members who treated him like he'd always been there. The simple physical work and easy conversation felt grounding after the emotional morning. Before they left, Cole pulled Zara aside. "I've been planning something," he said quietly. "A memorial for Ariel, this Tuesday evening on the hotel rooftop. Nothing fancy, just peaceful. Would you and the boys come?" Zara's eyes widened slightly. "A memorial? I thought maybe it would help us all heal a little, honor her memory together." She nodded slowly. "That would be nice. The boys would like that." Later that night, Cole stood alone on the rooftop of his flagship hotel. The city lights sparkled below as workers quietly set up white chairs and strung soft lights between potted trees. A musician was testing the sound system, gentle piano notes floating on the evening breeze. Looking out over Atlanta's skyline, Cole thought about Ariel's diary entries, her quiet strength, her sacrifice. He thought about her boys, their boys, and how quickly they had worked their way into his heart. "I hope this honors you, Ariel," he whispered into the quiet air, his words carried away by the wind. The rooftop garden was transforming into something magical, something worthy of the woman who had changed so many lives. White roses and lilies, Ariel's favorites according to Zara, would arrive in the morning. Everything was coming together, just as he'd planned. The Atlanta skyline glowed golden in the setting sun as Cole made final adjustments to the rooftop memorial. White chairs formed intimate semicircles around a central podium, while twinkling string lights created a warm, gentle atmosphere among the potted trees and flowers. A soft breeze carried the sweet scent of lilies and roses, Ariel's favorites. At the entrance, an elegantly framed display board showcased photographs from Ariel's life. There she was as a young girl with pigtails, as a high school graduate with dreams in her eyes, and later, radiantly pregnant with the twins. Each image told a story of joy, strength, and unconditional love. Cole adjusted his tie, his hands slightly trembling. This evening meant everything, not just honoring Ariel's memory, but bringing their fractured family together. A string quartet played softly in the corner, their melody drifting across the rooftop garden. At 6:30, the first guests arrived. Mother Washington and several other church mothers stepped onto the rooftop, their expressions softening at the beautiful setup. They moved quietly to their seats, dabbing at their eyes with embroidered handkerchiefs. "You did good, baby," Mother Washington whispered, patting Cole's arm as she passed. "Ariel would have loved this." Minutes later, Zara arrived with the twins. Both boys wore pressed white shirts and ties, looking so grown up it made Cole's heart ache. Malachi held his brother's hand tightly, while Matthew clutched something wrapped in tissue paper. "This is beautiful," Zara said softly, taking in the transformed space. Her eyes lingered on the photo display, where Ariel's smile shone bright and eternal. As the sun dipped lower, casting purple and orange streaks across the sky, Cole stepped up to the podium. His prepared speech felt heavy in his pocket, but when he looked at the twins' faces, different words came. 9 years ago, he began, his voice steady despite his racing heart. I met someone extraordinary on this very rooftop. Ariel Brooks was working as a summer event coordinator, and I was a young businessman with big dreams but an empty life. He paused, gathering his thoughts. We shared 2 magical months together. She taught me about joy, about living in the moment, about finding beauty in simple things. Then life pulled us in different directions, and I never knew. Cole's voice caught. In the front row, the twins leaned forward, hanging on every word about their mother. I never knew that our summer together had created something miraculous. 2 incredible boys who carry their mother's spirit, her kindness, her strength. If I had known sooner, I would have moved heaven and earth to be there, to watch you grow, to help your mother through her illness. Tears flowed freely now among the guests. Zara held the twins close, her own eyes glistening. But Ariel, in her wisdom and selflessness, protected all of us. She gave you both the stable childhood you deserved, away from publicity and pressure. She loved you so completely, so perfectly, that her love spilled over into your hearts and made you the amazing young men you're becoming. The string quartet played softly, as others shared memories. Church members speaking of Ariel's volunteer work, her beautiful voice in the choir, her unwavering faith even in difficult times. Zara spoke about her sister's courage and dedication as a single mother. Then, unexpectedly, Matthew stood up. Though usually shy, he walked to the podium with determination. Malachi followed close behind, carrying the tissue-wrapped package. "Mr. Cole," Matthew said, his voice small but clear, "we made something for you." Together, the twins unwrapped a handmade picture frame. Painted in careful, childish letters were the words, "For Daddy, if you want to be." Inside was a photo of the 4 of them from the school community day, laughing together at the snow cone stand. Cole dropped to his knees, pulling both boys into a tight embrace. "I want that more than anything in the world," he whispered, his voice rough with emotion. The church mothers murmured approving amens through their tears. After the formal ceremony ended, guests mingled while enjoying coffee and desserts. Cole found a quiet moment to speak with Zara near the rooftop's edge. "I want to do this right," he said earnestly. "I'd like to pursue legal guardianship, be the father they deserve, the father Ariel hoped I could be. Would you support that?" Zara looked out over the city lights, then back at the twins who were showing Mother Washington their artwork. "You know," she said slowly, "Ariel always said everything happens in God's time. I think she would approve of this moment, of you stepping up now when they need you most." The perfect evening seemed to glow with possibility and hope. Then Cole's phone buzzed in his pocket. Once, twice, then continuously. Frowning, he pulled it out to see dozens of notifications flooding his screen. His heart sank as he read the headline from a popular tabloid website. "Billionaire hid secret children for years." Below was Victor Langford's name as the source, along with twisted versions of private details that could only have come from intensive digging into Ariel's past. Shouts erupted from the street below. Cole and Zara rushed to the rooftop edge to see camera flashes lighting up the gathering darkness. A crowd of paparazzi swarmed the hotel entrance, their numbers growing by the minute. The peaceful memorial dissolved into urgent whispers. The twins looked around in confusion as the church mothers formed a protective circle around them. Zara's face hardened with worry, while Cole stared at his phone in disbelief, watching their private world crumble in real time. The peaceful rooftop memorial shattered in an instant. Like vultures drawn to fresh prey, paparazzi swarmed the hotel entrance below, their camera flashes piercing the gathering darkness. the quiet evening air filled with shouts and questions hurled upward. "Mr. Harrington, did you abandon your children? How long have you been hiding them? Miss Brooks, what's the real story?" Security Chief Daniel Ruiz burst through the rooftop door, his normally composed face tense with urgency. "Sir, they're blocking all the main exits. We need to move now." Cole turned to find Zara already gathering the twins close, her protective instincts in full force. The church members formed a human shield around them, led by Mother Washington's commanding presence. "This way," Cole directed, guiding them toward the private elevator reserved for penthouse guests. "Daniel has the route secured." They hurried through the service corridor, the twins' eyes wide with fear and confusion. Matthew clutched his handmade picture frame to his chest, while Malachi gripped Zara's hand so tight his knuckles went white. The elevator doors had barely closed when the questions started. "What's happening?" Malachi whispered. "Why are all those people here?" Matthew added, his voice trembling. Before Cole could answer, Zara exploded. "This is exactly what I was afraid of." Her voice shook with fury and fear. "I knew trusting you would put them in danger. Those vultures will tear apart their lives, dig up every detail about Ariel's illness, turn them into some kind of circus show." Cole pulled out his phone, scanning the article that had sparked this chaos. His face darkened as he read Victor Langford's carefully crafted lies. The manipulated timeline suggested Cole had known about the twins for years, but deliberately kept them hidden, painting him as a callous father who only acknowledged them when forced. Child Protective Services will be investigating the situation due to concerns about parental negligence and emotional abandonment. The article quoted an anonymous source. "Zara, please," Cole began. "I swear I had no idea Victor would—" "Save it." She cut him off, pulling the twins closer. "These are my sister's children. I promised to protect them, and now they're being hunted like animals because of you." The elevator arrived at the underground parking level, where Daniel waited with a secure SUV. The vehicle's dark-tinted windows offered temporary shelter from the chaos above. "The media has every entrance surrounded," Daniel reported. "But we've mapped an exit route through the loading dock. I'll lead in a decoy car while you follow in the backup vehicle." For the next hour, they navigated a careful escape through service alleys and back roads. The twins huddled together in the back seat, unusually quiet. Cole caught glimpses of their worried faces in the rearview mirror, his heart aching at how quickly their special evening had turned frightening. It was well after midnight when they finally reached Zara's apartment building. More photographers lurked at the end of the block, but Daniel's team had secured the back entrance. "I'll carry Matthew," Cole offered softly, seeing how the boy's eyes drooped with exhaustion. To his relief, Zara didn't object. They moved silently through the service entrance and up the stairs, not risking the elevator. Inside the apartment, Cole and Zara worked together to settle the exhausted twins into bed. Matthew insisted on keeping the picture frame close, tucking it under his pillow. Once the boys were asleep, Zara led Cole to the small kitchen. Her anger had cooled to something more complicated, fear mixed with uncertainty. "I need to know something," she said, leaning against the counter, "and I need the absolute truth." Cole nodded, waiting. "Are you going to stand by them? Really stand by them? Because if you're going to crack under the pressure and walk away, tell me now. They've already lost their mother. I won't let them be abandoned twice." The kitchen clock ticked loudly in the silence. Outside, a camera flash occasionally lit up the window blinds. "Zara," Cole said finally, his voice low but firm. "I missed 8 years of their lives because Ariel was protecting me. I missed her illness, her final days, all the moments I should have been there for. I will not miss another day. Not one more minute." He met her gaze steadily. "Victor, the media, CPS, let them come. I'm not going anywhere. Those boys are my sons, and I will fight for them with everything I have." Zara studied his face for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." When Cole finally left the apartment, he didn't go home. Instead, he parked his car halfway down the block, positioning it so he could watch both the building's entrance and the lurking paparazzi vehicles. Daniel's voice came through his phone. "Sir, I can have a team relieve you." "No," Cole replied firmly. "I'm staying." He settled in for the long watch, his eyes never leaving the building where his sons slept. The sky gradually lightened from black to deep blue to pale grey, but Cole remained at his post, a silent guardian until dawn broke over the city. Monday morning dawned grey and heavy, matching Cole's mood as he strode into his corporate headquarters. The usual bustle of the executive floor felt distant, like watching a movie with the sound turned low. His assistant Rebecca met him at the door, tablet in hand, and concern etched on her face. "The board is demanding an emergency meeting at 9 o'clock, she reported, falling into step beside him. "And PR has drafted 3 different statements for your review." Cole shook his head, placing his briefcase on his desk. "Cancel the PR statements. I won't spin this or deny anything." He loosened his tie, decision already made. "And tell the board I'll be there, but I have something to say first." The boardroom felt colder than usual as Cole faced the stern faces of his directors. These were people he'd worked with for years, built an empire alongside. Now they watched him with careful, calculating expressions. "Before anyone speaks," Cole began, his voice steady, "I want to make something clear. I'm temporarily stepping back from daily operations." Murmurs rippled around the table. A silver-haired director leaned forward. "Cole, be reasonable. This will blow over if we handle it properly." "No," Cole said firmly. "I won't let this circus affect our employees or our guests. The company needs stability right now, not headlines about my personal life. Richard can serve as interim CEO until things settle." He held up a hand as several directors started to protest. "This isn't a discussion. It's what's happening. I have 2 boys who need me, and I won't abandon them to protect stock prices." Leaving the stunned boardroom behind, Cole drove straight to his legal team's offices. For the next several hours, he gathered documentation, security footage showing the real timeline of when he met the twins, witness statements from hotel staff, evidence of Victor's involvement in leaking the manipulated video. His phone buzzed with a text from Zara. "Kept the boys home. Reporters still camped outside. School." Cole replied immediately. "On my way with supplies. Need anything specific?" He stopped at a grocery store, filling 2 carts with everything he could think of. Fresh fruits and vegetables, snacks for growing boys, comfort foods, basic household supplies. The cashier's eyes widened as she recognized him, but Cole just smiled kindly and asked for help loading his car. At Zara's apartment building, Cole made 3 trips carrying bags up the back stairs. He found the twins sitting quietly at the kitchen table, working on schoolwork Zara had printed out. Their faces lit up when they saw him, but there was a new hesitation in their movements, a wariness that broke his heart. "Mr. Cole," Matthew said softly. "We saw the news on TV before Aunt Zara turned it off." Malachi picked at the corner of his worksheet. "They're saying we're causing trouble for you." Cole set down the last of the groceries and pulled up a chair between them. "Look at me, both of you," he said gently. The boys raised their eyes to his. "What those people say doesn't matter, not one bit. No headline, no rumor, no amount of cameras could ever make me stop wanting you in my life." "Promise?" Malachi whispered. "Promise," Cole said firmly, pulling both boys into a hug. "You're stuck with me now." The afternoon passed quietly as Cole helped with math problems and Zara organized the supplies. Around sunset, Zara disappeared into her bedroom while Cole taught the twins to play chess. When she emerged an hour later, her eyes were red but determined. "I've been reading," she said softly. "All of Ariel's diary. There's something you should see." The twins had fallen asleep on the couch, worn out from the emotional day. Cole covered them with a blanket before following Zara to the kitchen. "I never read the whole thing before," she admitted. "It hurt too much, but there's a letter, one she never sent you. It was sealed, tucked in the very back." Cole's heart thumped painfully. "What does it say?" Zara shook her head. "I didn't open it. It's addressed to you." She glanced at the window. "Your car's still in the lot, isn't it? Where you've been keeping watch?" At Cole's nod, she straightened her shoulders. "Wait here with them. I'll be right back." Minutes later, Cole watched through the window as Zara approached his car in the parking lot. Her knock was soft but determined. When he rolled down the window, her hands trembled slightly as she held out a worn envelope. "She wanted you to have this," Zara whispered. I think she always hoped somehow, someday, you'd know them." The penthouse living room was silent except for the soft hum of the climate control system as Cole settled into his leather armchair. Outside his floor-to-ceiling windows, Atlanta's city lights twinkled in the pre-dawn darkness. The clock on his wall showed 3:15 in the morning, but sleep was the furthest thing from his mind. His hands trembled slightly as he held Ariel's letter. The paper was delicate, worn at the creases, bearing her distinctive, flowing handwriting. He traced his fingers over his name on the envelope, taking a deep breath before carefully breaking the seal. "Dear Cole," the letter began. "If you're reading this, it means our boys have found you. I pray they did so at the right time, when you were ready to know them. I've spent years wondering if keeping them from you was the right choice. Even now, as I write this knowing I won't be here much longer, I question myself. That summer we shared was real. Every moment, every laugh, every quiet conversation under the stars. It was all real. When I discovered I was pregnant, my first instinct was to find you immediately. But then I saw the news about the hostile takeover attempts against your company, the accusations being made, the wolves circling. I realized that a pregnant ex-girlfriend coming forward would have given your enemies exactly what they needed to destroy everything you'd built. You probably think I was being noble, sacrificing my happiness for your success. The truth is messier than that. I was scared. Scared of the media circus, scared of being labeled a gold digger, scared of our children growing up in the spotlight. But mostly, I was scared of taking away the quiet strength I saw in you that summer. The way you dreamed of building something meaningful, something that would help people. So I chose to wait. I told myself that once things settled, once your position was secure, I would find a way to tell you. But life has a way of slipping past while we're making plans, doesn't it? Our boys are incredible, Cole. Matthew has your thoughtfulness, the way you consider every angle before speaking. Malachi has your protective instinct, always watching out for others, just like you did for me that summer. They both have your smile, though they don't know it yet. I've told them stories about their father, a kind man who made me feel safe, who had big dreams, but never lost his gentle heart. I wanted them to know the real you, not the businessman in magazines. I hope, when they found you, you recognized yourself in my stories. I know I'm asking so much of you. These boys have already lost their mother. They need stability, patience, and love. But in those quiet moments we shared years ago, I saw such steadiness in you, such capacity for care. That's why I'm writing this letter. Not to burden you with guilt or obligation, but to tell you I trust you with their hearts. If you're reading this, it means you've met them. It means fate or God or simple circumstance has given all of you a chance I couldn't. Please don't waste it worrying about the past or what I should have done differently. Just love them. That's all I ask. Love them with the same quiet strength that made me fall in love with you that summer. Be patient with Zara. She's had to be mother and father to them since I got sick. She's fierce because she has to be, but she has so much love to give once she learns to trust. Most of all, forgive me. Not for keeping them from you. I still believe I made the best choice I could with what I knew then. Forgive me for not being brave enough to find another way, for not trusting that your strength could have weathered any storm if we'd faced it together. I have to believe that if you're reading this, you've already begun to love them. I have to believe that same steady heart I knew is ready to be their father. With eternal love and hope, Ariel. Cole's vision blurred as tears fell onto the paper. He carefully set the letter aside, then buried his face in his hands as sobs racked his body. Years of carefully maintained control crumbled as grief, regret, and love crashed through him in waves. He cried for Ariel, for all the years lost, for the courage it must have taken to face death, knowing she was leaving her sons behind. He cried for the twins, growing up with only stories of their father. He cried for himself, for the family he could have had, for the love he'd never known was waiting. When the tears finally subsided, Cole stood on shaky legs and walked to his window. The sky was beginning to lighten with the first hints of dawn. His reflection stared back at him, eyes red but clear. In that moment, he knew exactly what he had to do. He picked up his phone and dialed his head of legal affairs, not caring about the early hour. "James, I need you to arrange a press conference for tomorrow, Wednesday. No, not a prepared statement. I'm going to speak from the heart." He paused, listening. "Yes, I know the risks. Set it up anyway." After ending the call, Cole spent the next hour writing notes, crossing them out, starting over. Nothing felt right until he stopped trying to craft the perfect statement and simply wrote what he felt. At 7 o'clock, he called Zara. "I'm holding a press conference tomorrow," he said when she answered. "I'm going to tell the whole truth about meeting Ariel, about her protecting me, about finding the boys. No PR spin, no corporate statements. Just the truth." There was a long pause before Zara spoke, her voice thick with emotion. "Cole, are you sure? Your reputation doesn't matter," he interrupted gently. "Not compared to them. I won't let anyone twist this story anymore. Ariel deserves better. The boys deserve better." He heard her take a shaky breath. "We'll watch from here. The boys will want to see." "Thank you," Cole said softly, "for trusting me with this. With them." After they hung up, Cole moved through his day in a focused haze, cancelling meetings and working with his team to arrange the press conference. As midnight approached, he found himself back at his window, city lights twinkling below like earthbound stars. He began speaking quietly, testing the words he needed to say, letting them flow from his heart rather than his carefully controlled public persona. Tomorrow he would step into the spotlight not as CEO Cole Harrington, but as a father fighting for his children with the quiet strength Ariel had always seen in him. The media hall buzzed with anticipation as camera shutters clicked and reporters whispered among themselves. Bright lights illuminated the wooden podium where Cole Harrington stood, his hands resting lightly on its edges. He wore no tie, his collar slightly loosened, a deliberate choice to appear as a father rather than a CEO. Taking a deep breath, Cole looked directly into the sea of cameras. "Thank you all for coming. I'm not here to make corporate statements or hide behind careful words. I'm here to tell the truth about my family." His voice, usually confident in business settings, carried a gentle vulnerability that made the room fall silent. 13 years ago, I met a remarkable woman named Ariel Brooks. We shared a beautiful summer together before circumstances pulled us apart. What I didn't know What she chose not to tell me was that she was carrying my sons. Cole paused, emotion catching in his throat. Last week, those boys, my sons, found me. Matthew and Malachi Brooks walked into my hotel and changed my life forever. They're 8 years old, bright, kind, and everything their mother hoped they would become. Removing a worn photograph from his jacket pocket, Cole held it up. This is Ariel. She passed away last year, never having told me about our children, but she left behind a diary explaining why. His fingers traced the photo's edge. When we met, my career was under attack. Ariel discovered this and made the selfless choice to protect me by keeping her pregnancy private. She raised our sons alone, telling them only that their father would know them when the time was right. Reporters began raising hands, but Cole continued, his voice growing stronger. I've read a lot of speculation this past week. I've seen manipulated timelines suggesting I knew about my children and abandoned them. These are lies, deliberately crafted by Victor Langford to damage not just me, but 2 innocent boys who deserve better. The room erupted with questions. Cole raised his hand for silence. Mr. Langford doctored footage and created false evidence to suggest I've been denying my sons for years. I'm calling him out publicly now, not for my sake, but because his actions have hurt my children. They've had to face cameras outside their school, reporters calling their home, and cruel headlines questioning their worth. That ends today. Cole's expression softened as he spoke directly to the cameras. To Matthew and Malachi, I know you're watching. I want you to hear me say this clearly. I am your father. I'm sorry I wasn't there for your first steps, your first words, your first days of school. But I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere. Turning back to the reporters, Cole's tone became resolute. Effective immediately, I am temporarily stepping back from my role as CEO to focus on what matters most. Being a father to my sons, they need stability, protection, and time to build trust. I'm asking the media to respect their privacy and allow us to become a family without constant scrutiny. A reporter called out, "Mr. Harrington, what about the board's concerns?" "The board will do what they feel is necessary," Cole replied firmly. "But I won't sacrifice my children's well-being for stock prices or public image. Their mother protected my career at great personal cost. The least I can do is honor her sacrifice by being the father she always believed I could be." As the questions continued, Cole's phone buzzed in his pocket. He knew without checking that it was from Zara. They had agreed she would record the twins watching his statement. "One last thing," Cole said, his voice softening again. "To Ariel, I wish I could thank you. For protecting me when I was vulnerable. For raising our sons to be such extraordinary boys. For believing in me enough to trust that when they found me, I would open my heart to them. I promise you, I won't let them down." The rest of the press conference passed in a blur of questions. Cole answered each one with honest simplicity, refusing to hide behind corporate rhetoric. As the event concluded, his PR team was already reporting a significant shift in public sentiment. Social media was flooding with supportive messages, many from single parents who recognized the complexity of Ariel's choice. By evening, the story had taken another dramatic turn. 3 employees from Victor Langford's company came forward with evidence, emails proving he had orchestrated the video leak, and documentation showing how he had manipulated timestamps to create false narratives. Cole received the news in his office while preparing to leave for the day. His phone lit up with messages from board members, all expressing renewed confidence in his leadership and support for his decision to prioritize his family. As Victor Langford faced mounting legal consequences for his actions, Cole barely noticed. His attention was fixed on a video message that had just arrived from Zara. Opening it, his heart swelled as Matthew and Malachi's faces filled the screen. "We watched you on TV!" Matthew exclaimed, bouncing with excitement. You told everyone about Mom." Malachi added softly, his eyes shining. Then, together, they shouted words that brought tears to Cole's eyes. "We're proud of you, Daddy." The video ended with Zara's voice off-camera, gentle and approving. "They really are, Cole. We all are." Cole watched the video 3 more times, each viewing healing another piece of his heart. The press conference, Victor's downfall, the board's support. None of it mattered compared to those simple words from his sons. For the first time since they'd found him, he felt truly worthy of being called Daddy. The 2 weeks following Cole's press conference passed in a blur of quiet, meaningful moments. Each day brought new discoveries as Cole immersed himself in the rhythms of his sons' lives. He learned that Matthew liked his sandwiches cut diagonally and that Malachi hummed when he was concentrating on math problems. Small details that felt like precious gifts. On Monday afternoons, Cole would arrive at their apartment with his laptop, settling at the kitchen table to help with homework while Zara prepared dinner. The smell of her cooking filled the small space as multiplication tables and spelling words mixed with gentle conversation. "Remember to check your work," Cole encouraged Matthew one evening, watching his son's pencil hover uncertainly over a math worksheet. "You've got this." Matthew's face lit up when the answer clicked. "I did it!" he exclaimed, earning a proud smile from his father. At school events, Cole became a familiar presence. He sat through Malachi's recorder concert, wincing good-naturedly at the squeaky notes while beaming with genuine pride. When Matthew gave his first book report in front of the class, Cole sat in the back, giving silent thumbs-up signals whenever their eyes met. The dinners they shared became treasured rituals. Sometimes they ate at the small kitchen table in Zara's apartment, other times at casual restaurants where the twins could be themselves. Cole discovered that these simple meals meant more than any business dinner he'd ever attended. During these weeks, Cole and Zara's relationship evolved into something neither had expected, a friendship built on mutual respect and shared love for the boys. They found themselves talking late into the evening after the twins went to bed, sharing stories about Ariel that made them laugh and cry. She used to sing them this silly, made-up lullaby, Zara recalled one night, her eyes distant with memory. Something about dancing penguins and floating clouds. They wouldn't sleep without it when they were little. Cole smiled, imagining Ariel's voice. She always did have a way of making everything magical. Ms. Delaney, their CPS caseworker, made regular visits throughout this period. She observed the growing bonds with quiet attention, taking detailed notes as she watched Cole interact with the boys. She noticed how he remembered their favorite snacks, how he knew exactly which superhero each twin preferred, how naturally they turned to him for comfort or celebration. Finally, after 2 weeks of evaluation, the day of the final CPS meeting arrived. Cole arrived early at the downtown office building, adjusting his tie nervously in the elevator. Zara met him in the lobby with the twins, all of them dressed in their best clothes. "Whatever happens," Zara whispered as they waited, "you've already proven yourself." Ms. Delaney welcomed them into a conference room with warm professionalism. The boys sat between Cole and Zara, their small hands linked with both adults. The caseworker opened her file and began reviewing her findings. "Mr. Harrington," she said, her tone measured, "over the past 2 weeks, I've observed significant, positive attachment between you and your sons. You've demonstrated consistent involvement in their daily lives, emotional availability, and a clear commitment to their well-being." She turned to Zara. "Ms. Brooks, you've been their primary guardian since their mother's passing. What are your thoughts on Mr. Harrington's role in the children's lives?" Zara sat straighter, her voice steady. "When the boys first found Cole, I was scared and suspicious. But he's proven himself every single day. He's not just showing up, he's building real relationships with them. Ariel would be proud of the father he's becoming." Ms. Delaney nodded, making a final note in her file. Based on my complete investigation, including home visits, character references, and direct observation, I'm recommending that Mr. Harrington be granted legal guardianship, with Ms. Brooks maintaining her current guardian status as well. This co-parenting arrangement appears to serve the children's best interests. The twins burst into matching grins, while Cole fought back tears. "Thank you," he managed to say, his voice thick with emotion. After signing the necessary paperwork, Cole suggested they celebrate. The boys immediately shouted in unison, "Ice cream!" They walked 3 blocks to Sweet Pete's, a neighborhood ice cream shop, where the owner knew the twins by name. The bell above the door chimed as they entered, and the smell of waffle cones filled the air. "The usual for you, boys?" Pete called out from behind the counter. "Yes, please," they chorused. Cole watched in amusement as Matthew ordered chocolate chip with extra sprinkles, while Malachi chose mint chocolate chip with hot fudge. Zara selected butter pecan, and Cole opted for simple vanilla, earning playful teasing from his sons about being boring. They settled into a corner booth, the twins' legs swinging happily as they devoured their treats. Halfway through his cone, Malachi looked up at Cole with ice cream-smeared seriousness. "Dad?" he asked, the word still new but feeling more natural each time. "Can we ask you something?" Cole leaned forward, giving his full attention. "Of course." Matthew jumped in, unable to contain himself. "We want to have your last name, like, officially." "We talked about it." Malachi added quickly. "We still want to keep Mom's name too, but maybe we could add yours." Cole felt his heart expand in his chest. He looked at Zara, who nodded encouragingly, her own eyes glistening. "Come here," Cole said softly, opening his arms. The twins slid out of their seats and into his embrace, not caring about the ice cream drips or the other customers watching. He held them tightly, overwhelmed by love for these boys who had crashed into his life and changed everything. "Nothing would make me prouder," he whispered. As the evening sun began to set, they left the ice cream shop together. The spring air was mild, carrying the scent of blooming dogwood trees. Cole held Matthew's hand while Malachi walked, between him and Zara, chattering about their plans to decorate their rooms in Cole's penthouse for their weekend visits. They walked unhurried through the neighborhood, their lengthening shadows merging on the sidewalk. Street lamps began flickering on, casting a warm glow over their path home. In that moment, beneath the deepening twilight sky, they were simply a family walking together, connected not by obligation or circumstance, but by choice and love. The autumn breeze rustled through the oak trees outside Hamilton Elementary School, their leaves painted in brilliant shades of red and gold. Parents and families streamed into the auditorium for the fall performance, creating a buzz of excited chatter. Cole adjusted his tie as he and Zara settled into their front row seats, reserved specially for performers' families. She looked different now, more relaxed, her smile easier. Her part-time counseling classes were already bringing out a natural talent for helping others heal. "I can't believe how far we've all come," Zara whispered, arranging her program. "The Ariel Brooks Foundation launch last week was beautiful. She would have loved seeing her name helping other mothers." Cole nodded, thinking of the foundation's first initiative, providing educational grants and mentorship to single mothers pursuing higher education. Already 20 women had enrolled in local colleges with the foundation's support. The boys were so proud introducing themselves as Foundation Junior Ambassadors, he said, smiling at the memory. Matthew actually volunteered to give a speech. "Speaking of speeches," Zara said, pointing to the stage where the curtain began to rise. The elementary school production began with various grade levels performing short scenes and songs. Cole found himself leaning forward when the twins' class took the stage. Matthew and Malachi stood slightly apart from their classmates, matching navy blazers pressed perfectly for their special duet. The piano introduction began softly, and the twins stepped forward. Their young voices blended in perfect harmony as they sang "You'll Never Walk Alone," their mother's favorite song, the one she used to sing them to sleep with during her final months. Cole felt tears gather in his eyes as the boys sang with such pure emotion. Beside him, Zara quietly dabbed at her cheeks with a tissue. The audience sat transfixed as the twins' voices soared through the final chorus, their small faces lifted toward heaven as if speaking directly to Ariel. When the last note faded, there was a moment of profound silence before thunderous applause erupted. The twins beamed, holding hands as they took their bow. Their eyes found Cole and Zara in the front row, their smiles growing even brighter. After the final curtain call, Cole and Zara waited in the lobby as families filed past. Suddenly, two excited voices called out over the crowd, "Dad! Aunt Zara!" The twins burst through the double doors, still in their performance clothes, and ran straight into Cole's waiting arms. He caught them both, pulling them close as their momentum spun them around. "You were amazing up there," Cole said, his voice thick with emotion. "Your mom would have been so proud." "We practiced extra hard," Matthew said, his face pressed against Cole's shoulder, "because we wanted to make both our parents proud." Malachi added softly. Cole hugged them tighter, meeting Zara's understanding gaze over their heads. She stepped forward to join their embrace, completing their circle of chosen family. As they walked out of the school together into the crisp evening air, Cole felt a profound sense of peace settle over him. The boys skipped ahead, their breath visible in little puffs as they chatted about the performance and their upcoming weekend plans at his penthouse. He thought about his life before, the endless hotel inspections, the board meetings, the hollow achievements that had filled his calendar, but never his heart. For years he'd focused on building spaces for others to find temporary comfort, never realizing he was the one who needed a permanent home. Now, watching his sons dance beneath the streetlights while Zara laughed at their antics, Cole understood that home wasn't about elegant lobbies or luxury suites. It was about the way Matthew's eyes crinkled when he smiled, just like Ariel's used to do. It was about Malachi's thoughtful questions and gentle spirit. It was about Zara's fierce loyalty and growing trust. It was about grace, second chances, and the kind of love that builds bridges across any distance. The autumn night wrapped around them like a gentle embrace as they walked toward their waiting car, a family bound together not by obligation, but by choice, and made stronger by the love of the remarkable woman who had brought them all together. Thank you for being here. If something in this story stayed with you, I'd love to see you again. Subscribe. And tomorrow, I'll bring you another story crafted with heart.